Bismillah. So right now it's about 5:30 in the morning. Normally I have to do my recordings like really early in the morning or late in the evening because I am a mom of 9. But this morning I'm in a really good mood because we are going to talk about Gambia, my favorite topic, and what us Americans love the most about living here, living in a Muslim country. So let's get into it. So I would say the number one thing that I love about being here in Gambia is that I see Muslims all day, every day, every time I leave the house. All of my neighbors are Muslim, and hearing the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum all throughout the day in the marketplaces. And yeah, so just, it gives you the feeling of like being home. And you have that in common with mostly everyone around you. So the country is not 100% Muslim. It's not 100%, but it's over 90%. I think it's even over 95%, Muslims. So most Muslims are generally just you have that connection and natural care for each other because you share the same beliefs. So that would be the number one thing. Number two, I would say, is whenever we have like our Muslim holidays, Eid, Ramadan and the Eids, whenever we observe those, twice a year, basically the whole thing, like, missing iftar, with your family, you will get to have iftar every night with your family, and also on Eid, like, most things are closed. Like basically everything is going to be closed during the Eid prayer. No, no one is going to have to miss the Eid prayer, because they're working. All of those things will be closed. And then like later on, so a lot of things throughout the whole day will be closed. But then like later on, you will see the restaurants and everything, a lot of them will open up so that people can enjoy their Eids. But overall, you wouldn't have to miss those events because basically like the country shuts down and is observing the Eid prayer. And throughout Ramadan, like the grocery stores and everything, they're closed so that everyone can be home, for iftar like every night with their families. So after living in America and living in a non-Muslim society and environment, being in a Muslim country is so appreciated, by American Muslims. Is just we fall in love with Gambia. We fall in love with being in that environment where people they're sharing the same belief as you. And so a lot of times it causes, we're going to get into this more in the next video, but a lot of times it causes us to come over here and just let our guards down because it's a really good feeling that a lot of us have never experienced before. Hearing the adhan when you're out in the marketplaces and shopping, I love how there is a whole like musalla downstairs. If you go to the mall, a lot of times we'll use it even if we're not in the mall or visiting the mall. If we're just passing, we're on our way home, and you're getting to where the prayer won't be in for that long. If you run into needing a prayer area, you can just stop by the mall, go inside, go downstairs, and there's a wudu station and everything, and you just make your prayer and you leave. That is definitely one of my favorite things about Gambia. You will also see just Muslims out and open, just making salah, their prayer mat down, and they're just praying in front of the shops, just everywhere. You can just run into people making salah. So I would say that you are constantly reminded of your religion. You're reminded about Allah, and yeah, it is one of those warm, cozy things. Hearing the adhan throughout the day. It's definitely one of the things I love about being here. They make their salah right on time, like when the prayer comes in. So when they call the adhan, it's time to pray. generally they're not waiting all the way until the tail end of the Dhuhr where Asr is about to come in, and then you rush and make your salah. So a lot of times we used to pray like that or practice like that when we were in America. But over here, like if everyone is getting ready for the prayer, and you're just like sitting there like, okay, well, I still have time. Like, it just came in, I'll pray later. They'll be looking at you like they don't think you pray. They'll be like, I guess she doesn't pray. Like, she's not praying. She's not getting ready to, pray. And because of the cultural differences, they may even ask you if you pray, and you might just have to explain, yeah, I do pray, but I'm not gonna pray right now. I'm gonna pray when I go home. And they'll be like, you should pray, you can pray. You can make ablution here, and there's a rug, and there's like, if there's no reason for you to not be praying right now, then it's like, go ahead and make your salah. It's in, like, what are you doing? So yeah, that is something that like you will feel that pressure to actually just go ahead and stop whatever it is that you're doing. Even like in the marketplaces, you're in the marketplaces, they'll call the adhan, and people you'll start seeing people just making wudu and getting ready for the prayer right away. As far as lifestyle things, it is a lot easier for you to start practicing habits that are more so in the sunnah, like not wasting food, the way how they eat together. So food is you don't waste food here in this country because so many people don't have enough. It's like throwing food in the trash it's insane. You can always find someone that you can give the food to, even if it's cooked food. They will be happy to take it because a lot of people only have a small amount of food, so it just changes your mentality and mindset, and it makes you more aware of wasting. That was one of the things that I wanted to improve on when we were in the States. I wanted to improve on, like, not wasting, but it's just the lifestyle over there is just so different, and you don't really have the opportunity to focus a lot of times on what it is that you're doing. And even when you want to break bad habits, that does take focus and it takes practice, so it's like you won't just cook food and then throw it away the same night, being in the States. But what we would tend to do is, cook too much food, store it in the refrigerator, and then the next day you cook something else and you store it in the refrigerator, the leftovers. And then a lot of times, like, the leftovers would go bad and they would spoil. You end up throwing it out even if that wasn't your intention. And yeah, that's not a really good feeling to have to throw away food, but that's almost like a lifestyle in America. Unfortunately, a lot of food is wasted, even amongst the Muslims. And even in the month of Ramadan, you will see like plates of food just in the trash, but that does not happen over here. That will not happen. You will not see plates of food in the trash. If someone, no, that wouldn't happen. So changing your lifestyle, being able to live, more according to the sunnahs, it's like, even if that's not your intention, eventually, gradually, like, the environment will change you and make you more aware of those things if you mingle, with the locals and the Gambians, so yeah, it's really important for you to mix, with the Gambians, and learn about the lifestyle, the lifestyle and the ways, of here. I love my black coffee. So I remember whenever I went and traveled to America to have my last baby, which was in August. I was there in August. I went there to give birth. I remember just being in the grocery stores, and although Islam is not a foreign thing in America, I feel like everyone at this point is aware of Muslims, who Muslims are, what we look like, how we dress, and everything. But even still, when I was out, I would still get these stares because I'm covered up in all black, and I'm just like, I just felt like this is no longer a foreign thing. Like, why are people staring at me? So yeah, like when I was visiting America, it no longer felt like home to me. I just felt like I want to go back home. I constantly felt like I want to go back home. Like, I feel like Gambia is more home. I missed Gambia so much. When it had gotten really close to time for me to fly out, to have my baby, I was definitely looking forward to all of the conveniences of being in America, and no power outages. Obviously I was pregnant, so I was hot, being relieved by the central AC that they don't have here and everything. But I would say after a week's time, I definitely was missing Gambia. It didn't take long. It didn't take long at all that I was looking forward to coming back to Gambia. America, so I didn't mention in this video, but it's going on 3 years now since my family moved here to Gambia. So yeah, whenever I went to visit America recently, it no longer felt like home. It no longer felt like home, and I missed being in Gambia so much. Where I just felt like I can just be comfortable being me, who I am. I am a Muslim. I am covered every time I leave my house. Alhamdulillah. I do wear black all the time, and no one cares about that. They're familiar with it. Like most of the country, like I said, is Muslim. And so yeah, like I just felt like I'm able to thrive in my natural identity. And I love that. I love that about here. Now I've been here almost 3 years. I've went through all of what I believe are the stages of culture shock. I've went through a period of time where I hated being here. I've been through all of the emotions associated with adapting to a new country. Okay, so don't start telling me in the comments, oh, you're romanticizing. I'm not trying to romanticize the country. I'm really not. That's not the intent of this video. It's just that I remember being in the position. I remember being in this position in America, looking. I remember searching the web. I remember searching online, looking for people that were like me, that felt like they were drowning in America, as a Muslim mother, trying to raise a Muslim family, and I was looking for someone out there to share their story of leaving America, moving to another country, whether it even be a Muslim country or not. I just wanted to be out of America because it was too difficult, trying to raise a family there. So, just looking online for someone out there to share their story, of successfully leaving America and thriving in a new country, and leaving for the sake of their family and being able to raise their children and everything. So yeah, this video is not about romanticizing Gambia. The real story of why it is that we left, and how we're doing here now, and me from a mother's perspective, because I'm here now, alhamdulillah. I'm here as a mom of 9. I have 9 children now. Whenever we first moved here in Gambia, I had 8 children. We moved with 8 children, mashallah. Like sometimes when I really sit and think about that, I'm still blown away that actually happened for us. Because at the time, whenever, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but at the time, whenever we were in the States and I started to feel like, okay, we have to get out of here. At that time when I started initially getting those feelings, trying to imagine whether it would even be possible for our family, we didn't have the resources to move. So it started with just setting the goal and not even knowing how the goal could be achieved, but just being serious about the goal, setting the goal and trying to figure out, how it could work out, and then leaving it to Allah to open doors when it was His own perfect timing. But yeah, so being in Gambia, as a Muslim mother, and that is one of the things that I really appreciate about being here, because whenever we were in America, I felt like it was impossible, raising my children the way how I wanted to raise them. I was struggling so bad, with my 2 older children, which now my oldest, she's 21, but at the time, I think she was like 18 or had just hit 18. Whenever we were moving here to Gambia, and my son, he was going on 14 when we first moved to Gambia. So it was like what I was going through in the States a lot of people would just say, well, that's normal, what you were experiencing, that's normal behavior for American children. But as far as I was concerned, what I was experiencing, it was because of the society and the environment that we lived in. And while it may have been normal for American culture, it was not acceptable, for myself. I wanted to be in a place where my children and my family as a whole was not just glued to a cell phone, glued to the phone. Like my kids, I felt like I would never be able to get through to them because I was always looking at the top of their head, because they're, and that's a lifestyle in America. And the cell phone, it's ruining families. Obviously, people have cell phones over here. I'm recording on my cell phone right now, but it's like with the internet situation and the power outages, the lifestyle doesn't allow you to be glued to your phone, because you're going to run into times where the internet is not working. You're going to take a break. You're going to have to take a break, whether you want to or not. While that is one of the cons of being here in Gambia, for me being a mother, that was one of the best pros, because the phone and the internet caused so many problems, in our home, being, in America. But yeah, as far as being a Muslim, raising Muslim children, I felt like they were never hearing me. They were never focusing on what I was saying. I was never able to really fully have their attention or be able to make a significant enough impact, in their lives, because of all the commotion, all the noise, the addiction to social media, the addiction to the cell phones. And it's like when you're in America, you can feel like there is no escape. This is just how the world is right now. No matter where I go, I'm going to be facing these problems, but that's not the reality. That's the reality of that environment. It's inescapable. It doesn't matter what state, because I had a few people say, why don't you just try another state? Maybe it's South Carolina. Another state wasn't going to solve the problem that we were having. The problem was me trying to raise a Muslim family in a country that is opposite of what it is that the environment and the society is built opposite for us Muslims, and that's the reality. That's the reality of being there. So whenever you come to a Muslim country, or at least Gambia, I'll speak about Gambia. Whenever you come to Gambia, you have the opportunity to undo a lot of the damages that were done with the children and how they're raised. Even as far as the television, the same things are not on the television and over here in Gambia. The nudity and a lot of things that are just against our religion, even for us to see and observe, you will not see those things on television. Now, they do have some shows where they have a lot of curse words, so your kids, you still have to monitor them about what it is that they watch on TV. But as far as, the commercials of just women being naked, and then you having to close your young little five-year-old child's eyes, because they're watching a child appropriate show, but then you can't control what it is that comes on the commercials. But yeah, so the whole system is different, the shows that they allow. So you'll see movies where that there's inappropriate scene. If they show those movies here on the satellite, they will completely cut those scenes, because the place is designed to keep the youth pure, so it's a lot to get into. But there's a lot to appreciate about being here, and it's just the lifestyle that you have. If you're in America and you're fed up with, like I said, not being able to get your child's attention, not being able to get them to focus, not being able to make a great enough impact, not being able to teach them the importance of Islam, not being able to mold them the way that we need to. If you feel like that's impossible for you in that environment, that's why His earth is spacious. Even if you don't have all of the answers, about how it could work out for you, you have to start setting the goal. You have to make the goal and start making some type of steps of how you're going to get into another environment, because America is not getting easier. getting easier to, especially to raise Muslim family. Yeah, so it's not about, oh, your children are not going to be perfect. No matter where you take them, they're going to make mistakes. They are going to make mistakes. They're not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that you have to try to raise them in a toxic environment that you know is going, you're fighting against the society. Is literally you against the world, you know. And that's how I felt, you know. Immediately after getting out of that environment, I seen an immediate change. I was going through so many issues, like particularly with my son, and I was going through a lot of behavioral issues with him. Like he was hostile, very, very just short-tempered, violent, moody. He was miserable, like, you know, and I could not figure out why. There were a lot of reasons why. It took me 1 year, 2 years, almost 3 years to really unfold everything and figure out what it was that was going on, you know, with my child. But there's so much to get into. That's why I'm writing a book, because these videos would be hours and hours, and it's a lot of times it's hard for me, you know, to stay on topic. This video, I know I'm getting off topic, and I'm not even going to edit a lot of it, you know, because it's just like from the heart that I'm speaking, you know. But yeah, what you feel like is inescapable, it is escapable, you know. There are countries that you can move to, not just Gambia. There are other countries that you can move to, and you can actually obtain that lifestyle that you want for your family. But yeah, you know, Muslims, they really love Gambia because it's a simple lifestyle. You know, it's a laid back lifestyle, and you actually have the opportunity to practice your religion well, the way you want it to. In America, a lot of the people here that are born and raised in this country, I do feel like a lot of them have become desensitized to Islam, and living amongst Muslims. And you know, it's something that we just appreciate. We appreciate it because we never had it, you know. So whenever you live in a toxic environment and you feel like you're fighting for your life to practice your religion, you move to a place where it's easy to practice your religion. If that's your priority, then you appreciate it. You just appreciate it so much more.